Hey music makers, this is Shane Hazleton here. I'm a mentor with Pyramind. I'm also a teacher at the school on campus. And I had a question on campus a couple days ago about the linearity of the compressor versus the glue compressor. And this evokes a couple different ideas. One of them is that people will talk about analog gear sounding warm. And this also applies, hopefully, to gear that's been had its frequency response examined, had its behavior examined over time with different tones being put into it, impulses being put into it, checking out what's called the impulse response. And you can model some of this gear, and that's what the guy that did Glue Compressor has accomplished, I think, pretty well. So this is not meant to be linear. It's meant to sound like an analog compressor. Let's take a look at the frequency response of these two different compressors, and we can learn something about why people think that analog gear sounds warm. So at the top here, I've got oscilloscope. This is something you can get for free. It's an oscilloscope. And over here, this is something I've been adapting from a device I found on Max for Live. So this is a Max device that's going to let us look at the waveform history. Let's check out just the sine wave and make sure that everything looks right. Yep, that looks good. Nice clean sine. There's the shape of one cycle. Here's how it evolved or stayed the same as it were over time. There's where I stopped it. And the frequency response, let's look over here. Just one frequency, as we would expect. This is just noise, this is nothing, right? Minus 154. It's just nice, one clean frequency. By the way, operator's the cleanest of the oscillators available to you in Ableton between analog, operator, and wavetable, FYI. Let's take a look at what happens when we put on the compressor, which is trying to just be as transparent as it can. Okay, now I'm not quite sure I can hear that, but we can definitely see it. No, I can hear it. Yeah, I can hear it. Let's look at the frequency response. Okay, here's the A0, 55 hertz, and the next frequency we see is 165. If you want to pull out your calculators, that's going to be 3 times the fundamental frequency. And it goes up and up as so. The odd harmonics. This is what makes people say that digital can sound harsh. It's the odd harmonics that get accented. So let's compare that to the glue compressor. Okay, you really hear the difference there, right? Look at the waveform. Look how different that looks. Now I've tried to match the settings. These ones were easy. The units of measurement are a little different. 10 to 1, that's the same. 10 milliseconds, 0.01 seconds for the attack. This is in seconds, so that's the same as 10 milliseconds. And then release 0.1, so that'd be 100 milliseconds. Same there. It seemed to me, I don't have the same controls. I don't have these controls at all on Glue Compressor, but I tried to match. It seems like peak matched it the best, and having no knee seemed to match it the best. So I tried to match that the best that I could, and we can see that, I mean, the sound coming out of them is very different. Now let's take a look at the harmonics. Well, there's the root. There's harmonic 3. Oh, but look at this. 110, right? 1, 2, 3. So not just the odd harmonics, but the even ones as well. And this is what makes people say that analog gear is warmer. It's those even harmonics. So you can think of a complex sound, as Fourier, the mathematician, showed, as being a composite of a multitude of sine waves at different amplitudes and phases. So if you imagine that complex sound contains all these sine waves, well, all those sine waves have harmonics that are being added to them. Not as intense as this. I've got the settings up pretty loud, and this harmonic 1, the sine wave in this case, is really getting a lot of harmonic distortion added to it. But it all adds up. And so that creates a sound that we can hear. And I would agree, the glue compressor does have a warm sound. So let's take a look at that question of linearity. I'm looking at the decibel level down here. Minus 45 dBs on the next loudest frequency, because of course the root's going to get through. Here's Glue Compressor. Okay, it's still the third harmonic that's the loudest, but it's at minus 37 dB. Right, that's way louder. So, I mean, Glue Compressor is not trying to be transparent. It's trying to sound good. And it will work for that purpose in different ways where it's most appropriate. If you don't wish to add that, then the compressor is the right tool if you're not looking to add any harmonic distortion. But Glue Compressor works well when you're trying to add some warmth to something. All right, there's the overview. Hope you enjoyed the video.
Are you looking for production guidance and direct feedback on your tracks? Do you want one-on-one help with a mix, music theory, production, or creative workflow? Then book a one-on-one mentorship session today with one of our knowledgeable industry professionals at Pyramind.com.